Hi there. By the end of this three-part video, you should be able to describe the features of animal and plant cells, describe the features of prokaryotic cells, and describe the differences between eukaryotes and prokaryotes. So we're going to start by discussing what a cell actually is. Cells are defined as the building blocks of living organisms, and that's a good starting definition to work with. And cells come in two different types. We have eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells. Eukaryotes are mostly animal and plant cells, and their main distinguishing feature is that they have a nucleus. Whereas prokaryotic cells are usually bacterial cells, and their main defining feature is they have no nucleus. The main difference between these two is that eukaryotes have a nucleus, whereas prokaryotes do not. So we're going to start by, in this video, looking at eukaryotic cells, and then in the next video we'll move on to prokaryotic cells. So we're going to start with an animal cell. Now, animal cells have five main defining structures or organelles that you need to remember the functions of. The first one being the nucleus. Now, the nucleus is the location of all of the DNA in the cell. So due to this, it controls all of the cell's activity. So the nucleus will code the DNA, and that DNA will send instructions elsewhere into the cell to other organelles. So the nucleus's main responsibility is to control cell activity. The next organelle is the mitochondrion. Plural is mitochondria, you may see it like that often. And this is the site of aerobic respiration. The next one is the ribosome. And ribosomes are these little dots here, not the big red ones, the little dots. And ribosomes are the site of protein synthesis. The next one is the cell membrane. And the cell membrane is this outer layer here. I'm circling in red. It controls what enters and leaves the cell. The cytoplasm is a jelly-like organelle that fills the volume of the cell, and it contains lots of chemicals that make it the main site of chemical reactions in the cell. And if you didn't catch that, there's a list of all the functions here. I'll leave that for a second. Okay, now we're going to look at plant cells. Plant cells also have a nucleus with the same function. They also have mitochondria with the same function, cytoplasm with the same function, cell membrane with the same function, and ribosomes with the same function. However, plant cells are different to animal cells because they have three more organelles that we need to know about. These are the chloroplasts, the cell wall, and the permanent vacuole. We're going to start with the cell wall. The cell wall is this layer outside the cell membrane, and its role is to help to keep the cell structure. Next organelle is the permanent vacuole. This contains cell sap, which is a mixture of nutrients, and lastly is the chloroplasts, which produce chlorophyll, which is needed in photosynthesis. And here is a list of those. Pause when and if you need to. Thank you for watching. In the next video, we're going to be talking about the structure of prokaryotic cells.